Episode 1. The series starts with a young man fearlessly defeating a dragon. However, the man looks at the crest on his hand and discerns that it has no more room left to grow. He needs the fourth crest if he wants to get stronger. Thus, he opens a portal and disappears. Thousands of years later, a kid named Maddie is escorting a merchant through a dangerous forest. The kid admires his fourth crest and uses it to defeat a monster that appears. At the capital, he hears a commotion coming from a store. A girl is begging the blacksmith to make a magic sword for her friend. The blacksmith unfortunately can't make an enchanted sword in such a short time. Maddie speaks up and volunteers to enchant the sword. The girl decides to trust him and begs the blacksmith to create the sword. While the blacksmith is making the sword, the two strike up a friendly conversation. The girl, Alma, thanks Maddie for his help. Alma's friend Luri then arrives and Maddie is smitten by her charming looks. When the blacksmith finishes the sword, Maddie enchants it using a magistone. Luri accepts the sword and to her astonishment, it slices the table in half. The next day, Maddie and the girls meet again at the knight's entrance exam. Luri easily breaks the instructor's blade with her enchanted sword while Maddie has to fight the captain of the knights, Ghoulie. The two spar, but Maddie easily disarms him, shocking everyone. During the casting exam, Luri chants her spells and burns all the targets, while Maddie's chantless magic blows up the whole courtyard. The three successfully get into the academy and attend the opening ceremony. After Headmaster Edouard welcomes the students, he invites Maddie to a private meeting. He asks Maddie to teach the other students chantless magic. Edouard explains that their sister school, the First Academy, rejected chantless magic. He wants to prove the power of chantless spells in the next inter-school tournament. Thus, Maddie becomes an instructor at the school and demonstrates chantless magic to the other students. After a few days, few of the students can now cast chantless, including Alma and Luri. A month passed and the tournament began. Luri tells Maddie that their school always lost in the past because extremely powerful people called magical chosen ones seem to always show up at the First Academy. Maddie feels that someone powerful is indeed in attendance with 10 times his own magic power. Alma is surprised at this and tells Maddie that that's only possible for demons. In the arena, Maddie faces 3 students from the First Academy who start mocking his crest, the crest of failure. He recognizes that the student, Devilis, is a demon in disguise. When the duel starts, he easily defeats 2 students with Devilis, the only one remaining. The two start dueling and Maddie realizes that the demons must be the ones who made chantless magic fade away into obscurity. That way they can more easily defeat humans. Maddie wounds Devilis, forcing his disguise spell to be removed. Devilis starts to retreat, but Maddie defeats him single-handedly. Episode 2. For defeating the demon, the king decides to reward Maddie. Maddie requests to have a portion of the resources from the kingdom's dungeons. In today's age, everyone has forgotten how valuable dungeons are, so the king readily agrees. The king then tells him that all the magical chosen ones seem to have disappeared, including Erhard, the last captain of the mage's order. Maddie, however, warns him that the demons might now attack in the open, and they need to create a barrier to defend the kingdom. The king decides to put Maddie as the leader of the fight against the demons. To help him, Maddie explores the king's treasury and finds one of his old equipment from thousands of years ago. He then goes back to the academy to continue teaching students chantless magic. There, Luri and Alma ask him if he's really leading the defense. Maddie remembers that he still needs some materials for the barriers, so he asks Luri and Alma to be his party members. The girls would love to, but they feel apprehensive since they might just hold him back. Alma explains that she also prefers a bow, but bows aren't that good in magical combat. Maddie smiles and dissuades their fears. To help them, he demonstrates how powerful bows are. Meanwhile, Luri begs him to teach her enchanting so she doesn't have to fight on the front lines. They enter the dungeon beneath the academy, and Maddie fetches a small monster to practice on. He then coaches Alma on how to enhance her arrows and how to make homing arrows. Alma leaves to practice some more, and Maddie teaches Luri enchantment. He uses the dungeon wall to teach her how to refine it into elements and create weapons from it. After the two successfully learn their new abilities, Maddie brings them to a place where they can fight monsters. Alma kills the monsters while Luri provides support from the rear. Maddie's pendant also allows them to gain more experience points. A strong killer dog shows up, but thanks to Alma and Luri's teamwork, they are able to win. Maddie leaves the two girls with a barrier so they can rest while he heads down the dungeon to gather his materials. He also sees the entrance to the dungeon boss and decides to test out his skills. The snake-like boss swallows up Maddie, but he just used it as an opportunity to blow up its mouth. He then enchants his sword with Magistone, allowing him to cut off the monster's head with a powerful attack. Episode 3. The three head off to the guild to sell their loot from the dungeon. Maddie shows them the head of the serpent boss he killed, prompting the guild members to freak out. The guild then buys the head as well as the Magistone Maddie found. It was large, but isn't large enough to use in his barrier. They're about to go back to the academy when Maddie feels two demons approaching from the distance. He warns the girls and tells them that they should handle the weaker of the two while he defeats the stronger one. Meanwhile, the demons are flying above the capital and are about to attack it. They get interrupted, however, when Maddie suddenly shows up and attacks them. Maddie recognizes that the demons have much more magic power than him, so he decides to use their magic against them. The stronger demon shoots a fireball at Maddie, but he uses it to cast a defensive bubble over himself. He then controls the fireball to shoot back at the demons. Meanwhile, Alma and Luri use enchanted arrows to shoot and distract the other demon. The demon is about to fire a spell at Maddie, but he breaks the magical circle before the demon even finishes casting it. They then duel with their swords, but Maddie falls into a concealed magic circle of the demon, thereby removing his bubble defense. They continue their battle, but the demon suddenly falls over to the ground, defeated. Maddie had used a spell to contract the devil's magic power. He then proceeds to go help the girls by bluffing their enemy with a light spell. As it tries to run away, Maddie and the girls attack it, bringing it down to the ground. For their achievement, the king once again rewards Maddie with more dungeons. Meanwhile, the girls just ask for cash as their compensation. Maddie suddenly speaks up in the throne room and destroys a magic listening spell. The king recognized it as a spell by Erhard, the former mage captain. He also detected the enemy's location in a remote corner of the kingdom. A few days later, Maddie leads the girls to a mountain where they can easily find a way to get the demons. On top of the mountain, Maddie shows them the legendary darkness dragon, Iris, slumbering. The girls shake in terror, but Maddie tells them that he'll negotiate with her. He then approaches Iris. Iris threatens to eat him, but Maddie easily breaks her magic circle. He then speaks to her in dragon, leading to her asking if he knows Gaius, who claimed he was going to reincarnate. Maddie reveals that he's actually Gaius, and Iris repeatedly bows her head to him while apologizing. Maddie asks her if she can fly them to a location, but Iris reveals her torn up wings from a magical explosion thousands of years ago. Maddie heals her wings and introduces the girls. Thus, they ride the dragon, and Iris flies them up into the sky to the demon's hideout. Episode 4. Maddie silently kills the demon guarding the hideout. He can sense two magical beings inside, Erhard and another, stronger demon. Meanwhile, Iris lands clumsily on the ground, dizzying her passengers. Inside, Maddie uses telepathy so he can talk to the girls silently. He then tells them that they should handle the offense since he believes they can now handle it. However, the girls are confused since the hideout is empty. Maddie tells them that the enemy must be using a concealment spell. All they have to do is detect any area suspiciously devoid of magic. Following Maddie's advice, Luri discerns a hidden being in the corner of the room. Maddie disrupts its concealment spell while Alma shoots an enchanted arrow at it. It hits the demon Erhard right in the forehead, but it fails to injure him. Erhard attacks Maddie while the girls keep shooting arrows at him. Erhard, meanwhile, ignores the arrows since it doesn't do much damage to him. After a while, Erhard abruptly becomes sluggish. Luri was actually enchanting the arrows with magic toxins, blocking his magic. Erhard exchanges his lifespan to release all his magic and swipes his claws at the girls, but they were just decoys created by Maddie. With one final shot from Alma, they defeat Erhard. As for the stronger demon, Maddie advises the girls to let him handle it. He pulverizes some magistones in the air, forcing the demon to materialize from the mist. The demon quickly attacks and cuts off Maddie's arm. However, it magically attaches itself back, surprising the demon. It turns out that he preemptively imbued a recovery spell in his arm and allowed the demon to hit it so he can analyze his magic. With that done, he can now dodge the demon's attacks. He injures the demon's arm, and the demon quickly releases all his magic to prevent what happened to Erhard from happening to him. He tries to attack again, but Maddie keeps reverting his spells. Magic then seeps into him, and Maddie tells him that it wasn't magic toxin he used on the demon. Instead, it was a spell that makes magic run wild. Thus, the demon fails to control his power, and he explodes in a brilliant white light. After the dust settles, a purple crystal is poking out of the crater. Maddie explains to the girls that it's a dragon vein pillar. Dragon veins are conduits of magic power under the ground that the demons might have tapped into in the hopes of using it. Based on the magic circle inscribed on the crystal, they probably plan to summon an army of monsters at the capital. Thankfully, Maddie's fight might have shifted the spawn point about 10 kilometers from the city. On their journey back to the capital, Iris asks Maddie what she should do after dropping them off. Maddie suggests that she uses her magic to get a human body and enroll in the academy with them. That way, he can continue healing her wings while he also gets easy transportation. They then give the horns of the demons they killed to Eduard and ask him to let the disguised Iris enroll. Eduard allows it as long as she passes the entrance exam. Later, Maddie paints a crest in Iris's hand to make her seem like a real mage. The next day, Iris takes the entrance exam. Unfortunately, she just tastes the ink in the written exam, uses her bare hands on the sword fighting portion, and lets her magic shoot everywhere in the casting portion. Maddie has to create shields just to protect themselves from Iris's magic. Iris decides to just copy Maddie and blows up the whole area, destroying her targets. Thus, Eduard allows her into the academy since she technically passed. Episode 5. Maddie accompanies Eduard to check the Academy's progress in gathering materials for the Kingdom's barrier. Eduard unfortunately reports that they are lacking students with the Crest of Glory to help in the refinement of minerals. They would like to ask the First Academy for help, but their relationship is not that good. As such, they decide to ask the King to negotiate for them. However, the First Academy's headmaster angrily rejects their plea for help. He doesn't want the prestigious First Academy to work with the inferior Second Academy. Eduard reminds him of the results of the inter-high competition, but the First Academy's headmaster retorts that it doesn't count since a devil interfered. To put the matters to a close, Maddie suggests that they just redo the tournament with as many students as they want. The First Academy's headmaster agrees, but with one condition. Maddie and his party members cannot join. The next day, the whole student force of the First Academy arrives. Facing them are 5 normal students from the Second Academy. The First Academy students are chanting to attack them, but the chantless magic of the Second Academy is faster, easily defeating them. The First Academy's headmaster still doesn't concede defeat, however, so the king brands him as a traitor and orders all the students to work together. Maddie and his team then head to the dungeon again to look for a large magistone. The girls easily defeat the monsters, but Iris is still having difficulty controlling her magic. Then they plan to summon a monster strong enough to give a large magistone. Iris pours her power into a small magistone to summon a monster, but her magic control is still not up to par, and she ends up summoning a large dragon. Thankfully, Iris starts listening to Maddie's instructions on how to defeat the dragon. Iris distracts the dragon while the girls keep pelting it with arrows. Meanwhile, Maddie places magic circles all over the area. He then instructs Iris to provoke the dragon into using its breath, and Maddie uses its own attack to activate the magic circles, blowing up and killing the dragon. After they get the large magistone, Maddie invites Iris to formally join their team. They then go back to the academy to train their teamwork. Alma helps Iris practice controlling her body while Maddie teaches Luri how to create weapons with multiple enchantments. They then practice with their new weapons, including Luri's sword, Alma's bow, and Iris's spear. The academy then continues preparing for the devil's attack while the devils themselves prepare to invade. Episode 6. While Maddie is busy creating the barrier, Edouard rallies the students in preparation for the devil's invasion. Meanwhile, Maddie detects a demonic transportation spell called Magia Road near the capital. He asks Alma and Lori to take care of it since he's still occupied with the barrier. They head over to the Magia Road, slowly opening near the capital. Following Maddie's instructions, Luri enchants Alma's arrows, which allow her to kill the first demon that passes through. The next demon, however, endures her shot and attacks them, but Luri easily kills it with her enchanted sword. The Magia Road slowly closes, and they return to Maddie. Maddie tells them that another Magia Road will probably open above the academy, and they need to join the other students in buying enough time for Maddie to finish his work. Meanwhile, Iris delivers more mithril that Maddie needs for the barrier. In the academy, Maddie prepared in advance an abundance of magistones for Luri to use in her enchantments. They arrive just in time as the Magia Road opens above the academy and a demon steps out. The demon sees the throngs of students and attacks them with a spell. To his surprise, his spell was blocked by a defensive spell Maddie preemptively placed. The students attack the devil with their own spells, but he was too high up for their attacks to reach. The devil also just catches the arrows Alma fired at him. Meanwhile, Luri is doing her best in enchanting, but the complexity of the magic circles means that her attempts usually fail. Luri notices all the students wholeheartedly waiting for her enchantments, and she determinedly goes back to work, finally crafting a powerfully enchanting arrow. Alma fires the arrow and kills the demon. Unfortunately, more devils show up and start attacking them. They still don't give up, however, and are about to fight back when Maddie finally arrives. Maddie easily kills them all with his blade and saves everyone. He then reports to Edouard that the barrier is finally finished. They activate the barriers just in time for the monster army's arrival that the devils summoned using the dragon vein pillar. The students of the academy started bombarding the monsters with magic, and when stronger monsters show up, Maddie and his party join the battle. After a while, a magic vortex sucks the nearby monsters. Maddie recognizes it as a Void Eater, a monster that will eat other monsters to evolve. He instructs Luri to feed it a particular magistone so that they can influence its evolution and gain more experience. What comes out of the vortex is a humongous lion-like monster. Maddie just calmly instructs his party members to do their usual jobs, with the girls firing arrows while Iris distracts and attacks its legs. Meanwhile, Maddie uses his knowledge of magic to enchant his sword and attack the monster head-on. The monster's wounds heal up with its regeneration ability, but Maddie just puts more enhancement spells in his sword and attacks again. Maddie's combination of attacks and relentless barrage brings the monster down, and Maddie cuts off his head with its sword, finishing the battle and letting their kingdom see another sunrise. A few days later, Maddie tells Edouard that he is leaving the academy to survey the dragon veins. Edouard, however, already expected this and offers Maddie a special scholarship. He will still be a student, but he won't need to attend. The academy would also get a boost from Maddie's own accomplishments. The others look forlorn at his departure, so Edouard offers them the same scholarship. Thus, Maddie and his friends thank the headmaster and leave to go explore the land. That's all for this video. Please make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more recaps on all your favorite anime shows. You don't want to miss out. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.